Good morning. Welcome to the Facilities Committee meeting. I call this meeting to order. I need an approval of the agenda, but we have a couple changes to the agenda. Under open session action, we need to change the first one to say budget CIP. We need to delete the second item, Porter Ridge High and Porter Ridge Middle bond project bids, because we're still waiting on that. And under closed session, we need to delete ADA upgrades, Cuthbertson High and Marvin High, because we're rebidding it.
Okay, motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. I need a motion to approve the March 29th, April 20th, and May 23rd open meeting minutes.
Motion to approve the March 29th and April 20th and May 23rd minutes.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Okay, Mr. Burnett and Mr. Covington, budget CIP.
I'm just going to introduce Mr. Covington to take care of this item.
This item's before us due to that the county, when they officially sent us their breakout of our CIP, they failed to include the teacher admin laptop lease payments in their allocation. And with them having passed that resolution, we must get that put into the county's budget. So we need to adjust what they have included in theirs, which if you go to that handout, the stuff that's in green is what they included in what they sent over as how they will be monitoring our CIP. And the stuff that's in white, they excluded. And the instruction was that if we wanted to do any of those projects, was to use our fund balance. But by law, we need to get the laptops back into the green area because of the resolution that they signed that they will fund that each year. So we need to move $635,000 out of the green projects down to the white projects, and then decide at a later date with the those that's in white, we will go ahead and do with our fund balance this year.
Okay. What they did was said, you guys hold approximately $6.5 million in your, what did we call it?
It's fund balance
Fund
plus
balance.
plus
the
payback.
Monroe, yeah. So it's our
Utilities.
fund balance.
Yeah.
$6.5 million in our fund balance. So what they said they did, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that they fully funded our budget by saying, we're going to give you this, and if you use the $6.5 million you use in fund balance, then that takes care of your CIP projects for this year.
Correct.
And we said the $6.5 million is being held back so that we can use it for overages and bond projects. What they did was they set up an account at the county for the $6.5 million in overages in the bond project. So what you said is correct. They moved a bunch of stuff. One of the things they moved to the $6.5 million that we have was the $635 for the for the teacher and admin laptops, which has to be in their account because they are legally obligated to it.
Correct.
So it's just moving money between the two things.
How much do we move?
$635. That's the payment for the.
I see one project that could be easily moved, probably.
Well, he moved. He gave us the projects
Okay.
already to move.
Okay, gotcha.
So
The recommendation was, if you go to the first page, was to move to replace the VCT 800 hall for CATA
I'm sorry, first page where I don't.
with the green sheet is
Okay, so we're
item
back.
about
Okay.
the eighth item
here's a
down.
So how is it?
So it's $75,000 for CATA for the VCT that we would move. It's East Elementary,
Well,
25,000.
we won't have to move that one because the total is 635 and those added up to 685.
Okay,
Where's this? In the
and I
packet.
have that separate.
Okay, so it's not in our
He's
packet.
going to walk through it.
Yes.
Let's walk through the changes. Go ahead.
So we're going to move the CATA project
Which
for the
is.
75,000 to replace the
Okay, so
VCT
this
800
one,
hall.
okay.
If you go down about 10 more, you're gonna see add boiler at Prospect for 75,000.
75, okay.
And if you flip the page over, third from the bottom, second from the bottom, you'll see backup storage equipment for disaster recovery of the
Mm-hmm,
485.
mm-hmm.
Those gets us to the 635.
So the stuff in green is the 6.5 million?
No, the stuff in green is the 11.4 million that the county has approved in their budget
So we're moving that out of the county into
to
ours.
us.
Got
Yes.
it.
And then
And moving the 635
up.
out of ours into theirs.
Yes.
Okay. So we're moving the CATA VCT for 75,000 into the counties. And we're moving the 485 and the 75,000 from Prospect.
Yes.
Okay,
That's the staff recommendation.
great. So I need a motion to approve those changes. So they're still on our CIP and still funded if we do it out of our 6.5 million.
So we're gonna move
Those.
these
Mhm.
to what fund?
So this fund, the in green, is the money that the county has given us. So that's the 11 million on the next page, BOCC funded. But they did not include the 635 to make the
Mhm.
teacher and admin, which is a payment that they have to fund because of the local, what's it called?
The LGC.
Thank you. And so in order to put the 635 back into their 11,426, we need to take 635 out, and that's what we just did between those three
But
projects.
where are we putting them when we take
We're
them
putting
out?
them in our 6.5 million,
Okay, okay.
in our fund
So we're
balance.
moving that to the fund
So there's
balance.
two buckets for the CIP. There's the $11.4 million bucket that the county is giving us, and the other bucket is the 6.5 million that we hold.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the first time we've ever had to do this.
Right.
So we're
And-
moving those to our fund
bucket,
balance.
right, yep.
Okay.
Right.
Which is all the stuff in white.
Right.
So they're still gonna happen. We're just gonna
If-
pay for it out of our, those three
We-
things, we're just gonna pay out of our
Right.
fund balance.
Right. We will come back to this board, this committee, when we're ready to do the fund balance pieces, because we would have to appropriate those.
Right.
And I'm not sure if we're gonna do all of those.
And the 635 are our lease payments that are paid quarterly.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. It's the annual amount paid quarterly for the admin laptop that we started last year.
Okay.
I just got a question for staff. Was the Wolf geothermal, was that looked at as a potential? Because that one just stands out for, so much one for one.
So we definitely have a need, at Wolf on the HVAC system. So we do still want to and are pursuing.
I don't think he means it
improvements
as a need. I think he means that it was an easy number at 650 to just give that to the county, but it was over the amount.
Mhm.
Is that why we didn't pick that? He just means it would have been easier
An
to
easy
pick
number.
Wolf because it's already at 650.
there. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
We didn't look at it that way. We were,
Looking exactly for 635.
and we were, at the time, we were looking at projects that we genuinely thought we could potentially hold off on for
Mhm.
another year.
Okay.
If you had to.
And event, we'll have to have a conversation about the projects that are in the $6.5 million and what we think we can get done and
Right.
stuff like that at some point too, but it won't be at this meeting, but that's something we need to talk about.
And I guess what I'm hearing you also say is that the Wolf project cannot wait.
The Wolf project, we need to get they're having trouble maintaining air conditioning temperatures, cooler temperatures. So we have a strategy that we're going to be pursuing, on that, but we do need to be moving on that.
Awesome.
Okay.
Okay. So I need a motion to, what should we use? What word should we use? To move these three projects into,
The county funded line. And to move those to our fund balance.
to our
line.
fund balance and out of the county line and move from our fund balance, the 635 for the
To
teacher and
county
admin
line.
into the counties.
So moved. Okay, second.
All those in favor?
And there's a recommendation, full board.
Recommend,
To make, yeah.
Yes.
right, to the full board. Yep. Okay.
And do we need to do this tomorrow or can it wait till the August meeting?
Do you need it
When's the
tomorrow?
quarterly payment due?
We can wait till the August meeting?
Yeah, you can
Okay.
wait till August
Okay.
meeting.
Well, you can think about that. If you
Yeah.
need us to do it tomorrow, we can add it to the
Okay.
agenda.
Preferably the August meeting.
Okay. I think
Okay, Chet.
September. that
We're
first
meeting at
payment's due.
2:30, so we can always
Okay.
do it then. Okay. The
Thank you.
next thing, thank
you.
you very much. Okay. Extending the warehouse lease, Mr. Burnett.
Yeah, we currently,
Microphone. No, it's not on.
It's not on.
no, I hit it, sorry. So we currently lease the property at 226 Bivens Road. It's for the warehouse. We have a 3-year term on that. We just finished year 2. We've just started year 3. The landlord has a proposal for us, and that's extending the lease an additional 2 years. The increase, there is a proposed increase in the monthly rental. That would be from $8,000 a month to $8,250 a month. That increase. Actually, there's some benefit for us in that they would air condition the front portion of the warehouse. That's a 10,000 square foot. The landlord says that's an expense to them of about $20,000. We do recommend or do request that the Facilities Committee recommend to the Board of Education the approval of the lease extension at the higher lease rate for years 4 and 5 in exchange for the landlord air conditioning the additional 10,000 square feet of leased area.
In 2 years, we should have our transportation facility.
That was our thought, is that the timing on this works, and that it gives us time. We need to plan, design, to be able and construct the changes to accommodate the warehouse. The current Venus Street facility is not a warehouse. It's not set up for, it's trying to be multiple function, and it's having some challenges, accommodating those functions. It's not an office building, but we're using it as an office building. It's too small for transportation. It's not a warehouse, but we do need to put CIP money together and to try to repurpose that in this time frame.
How much of this square foot, are we using all 10,000 square feet, or is it too big, too small, or is this the right size? Are we using it?
We are using the warehouse. We are not busting at the seams. We do have a little bit of space.
For storage?
Correct.
Okay.
So we haven't approached the capacity of the warehouse.
We're just cooling more of it.
Correct.
Cooling more of it. Okay.
I make a motion that we recommend to the full board the 2-year extension on the lease.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
You're up again.
Next item is the mobile unit request. The Board of Education recently approved surplusing 15 mobile units from Wingate Elementary School, in addition to many other mobile units that we had at some other schools. We've received a request from the Union County Sheriff's Office to transfer one of our mobile units to them so that they can use it for meeting space, office, and or storage. We don't have a problem with it. And what we were recommending was that Wingate, the proximity with Wingate to the sheriff's office made sense. Staff is requesting the Facilities Committee to recommend to the Board of Education the approval of transferring one of the surplus mobile units to the Union County Sheriff's Office. That includes the steps and the ramps. You all did this about a year and a half ago.
There's 3, right? Yes, 3 or 4.
Yeah, 3 or 4. And so basically, I just used the same.
Is this to their gun range or to the sheriff's office? Not that it matters. Last time it was to their new gun range, wasn't it?
We do have
Yeah,
an
I'm pretty
attachment.
sure it was to their gun range last time.
Last time it was.
This time it's not. Okay.
And then who pays for the move? Is that sheriff's office?
We would be expecting that to be the sheriff's office. It's there for them to pick up. Yeah.
I make a motion that we recommend to the full board allotting one mobile classroom from the Wingate Elementary campus for the mobile classroom to include the steps and the ramps for the Union County Sheriff Office.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Next item is the Forest Hills High School paving change order. Staff received a change order from our paving contractor, and this was due to unsuitable soils that have been encountered on that job. Some history on this, the contract value included a couple schools. It was $620,199. The Forest Hills portion was $208,689. Now, the change order proposal that we had received was $272,609. So that's certainly a big change order. It's in excess of the total value of what we were doing out there. That is a big hit financially. What we did do is try to be strategic about the repairs, and we're going to focus repairs on the circulation areas, the high traffic areas, and the parking spaces will be lower priority. So we're trying to do this at $150,000. Basically, it's an allowance that we would be working with the contractor, and we would be approving and quantifying where the areas of repair are. What we do need though is we need to give the contractor the direction as soon as possible. So hey, we'll come back to the job site, and what we need him to perform the work and complete the work before teachers come back. We are giving him a time extension of, I believe it's 22 days. We are also trying to avoid having remobilization fee or having the contractor schedule his equipment to another job. Obviously, this work is weather dependent, and so we have to be concerned about that too. Staff is, we're proposing that the funding for this come from CIP, 1718 CIP funds. Currently, we have a running balance of $473,000. Staff requested Facilities Committee to recommend to the Board of Education the approval of the increase to the construction contract with Turner Asphalt in the amount of $150,000.
I'd also know that this is the same change order that we're proposing to bring to you all tomorrow at
Correct.
that 2:30 meeting.
In addition to the next one.
Yeah, I'll make some
Motion.
motion to recommend the full board the change order amount with Turner Asphalt.
The 150,000.
150,000.
Great.
Okay, second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Next item is CM at risk contractor pre-qualification. Previous to this meeting, the policy committee did hear for the proposed policy for pre-qualification. North Carolina general statutes require that if you're doing a CM at risk project, that you have to pre-qualify. The pre-qualification is limited to or required of tier 1 contractors. Tier 1 contractors are those that directly contract with the CM at risk. In this particular case, traditional design, bid, build, delivery methods, you might have mechanical, electrical, plumbing, and site subcontractors. Here you're going, and the general contractor will have many more contracts. In this particular case, just about all of them are going to be directly contracting with the CM at risk unless something was packaged together. The CM at risk policy, proposed qualification program needs to be in compliance with this recent Board of Education pre-qualification policy, the one that's in the works. The Board of Education must approve the CM at risk proposed program.
We just approved the policy or recommended it to the full board on fast track for tomorrow's meeting as well.
And were there a couple of changes that you recommended?
We did.
For this?
On page 2, we inserted the words On number 4, C4, we inserted the words upon request.
Great.
And that was page 2.
Yes, page 2 under financial, just right at the beginning of the sentence, upon request.
And that was the only
That's the only change.
from policy.
Correct.
And what you'll have, we have the policy attached. We also have from Branch and Associates, the qualification process and the appeals procedure. In reviewing that, there were just a couple items that we took exception to. The contractor has revised that, emailed that to us just prior to this meeting. We emailed it to you all because we couldn't get it printed out, for you. I'll tell you what those changes were real quick under this sheet that says
The branch sheet.
under appeals procedure. It's line number 5 where it says at the very end, it says the CM. You may contact the bidder, et cetera. To be consistent with our policy, the pre-qualification committee, is inserted there. The revised procedure that's in your emails, shows that.
So instead of the CM, it should be the pre-qualification committee?
Correct.
Okay.
And then on the second appeal, which is number 2 under appeals procedure, first line where it says CM/UCPS and qualification committee. Our policy says it's the superintendent designee. So we've asked for that to be changed, and we think that was accommodated. And then down around line 8. So sorry, these aren't numbered, but where we say, it says within 3 business days after the hearing, the CM will notify. That's going to be the superintendent designee will notify the CM of the decision on the appeal. Again, these changes are on the electronic version.
The superintendent designee will notify the CM
Of the decision on the appeal.
of the decision on the appeal, of the final decision on the appeal. Okay.
Yeah, and it's actually not the final decision.
Or the
because
decision.
It's, the decision. So the final decision actually rests with the CM because all of these subcontractors are going to be contracting with them.
Okay. Okay, what else?
That was it.
Okay. So we, as the facilities committee, have to approve this qualification and appeals process
Yes.
in addition to the policy committee approving and both of these things will go to the full board tomorrow.
And we were also asking for the facilities committee's support of the policy committee.
Okay. So the motion's at the bottom. That we would recommend to the Board of Education the approval of the CMAR pre-qualification program proposal and support the recommendation of the policy committee on the proposed policy.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Thank you very much. Construction update.
Okay. Construction update. You'll notice the picture of Benton Heights Auditorium, a little bit dated, but the thing that we like about that is that's a picture from our drone. So we actually have quite a few videos of construction sites and things
There you
like
go,
that.
Matt, drone.
Yep.
What? Will you fly it? Yeah.
I'll try to be quick because we have a whole lot of construction going on, whether it's capital or the bond projects. But Benton Heights, I'll just kind of cover the issues. We did encounter an underground storage tank in our parking lot that is impacting schedule and the effort in that particular area. We're working through it. Overall,
What type of tank was that, by the way?
underground storage tank, fuel tank.
Just a fuel tank. Okay. Is it like hazardous, I guess?
It was abandoned in place. It was filled with
Okay,
either foam or,
Okay.
or gravel.
When do we think that the Benton Heights Auditorium is going to be done? Any idea?
I believe that's October. Yeah, that's October completion. And that's per the schedule.
Okay.
It's currently invoiced at 53%, the project that is.
Okay.
Monroe Middle School, this project is coming together. If you have happened to walk through, you might think that there's absolutely no way it's going to happen, but it's coming together. It is happening. It will be completing.
It'll be
on time.
completed by the 27th.
Oh, yes. So what the schedule on that is we had an August 3rd completion date, if I remember correctly.
Uh-huh.
We did have a change order that I'm going to talk about here in a second. In particular areas, we extended that contract to August 16th, I believe. And that's specific to those 3 areas that are involved in that change order. So we do feel that the custodial work, it's always a big effort in the summer. We've got that so that they have time to do that effort and get the school looking like we expect it to look for first day of school.
Great.
The change order that I wanted to mention is that we granted to some existing firewall conditions. And so we have done quite a bit of work on improving those firewalls. We do have, and that was to the tune of $85,000 from our allowances that we had for that. We do have a little bit of additional work, that needs to be done. We're not going to try to do it as part of this project. We will identify it as a future CIP or some other funding source, but it is on our list that, we need to do. And I need to actually write a letter to the fire marshal's office that says, what I just told you. We know about it, and we will continue to complete that work.
Great.
Paving at locations, we've got work that's complete at Marvin, New Salem, and Piedmont Middle School, Piedmont High School. We just talked about the change order at Forest Hills High School. Paving at Parkwood High School is underway right now. I'll mention track renovations. I'm mentioning that because we actually can't do the track renovations, and that's noteworthy. We've noted to the schools that it's likely that their tracks will not be repaired in time for school during the school year that's coming up.
Will they still be able to have track, or are they unusable at this point for track?
That'll be up to the schools.
Okay.
It's Whitington High School and it's Porter Ridge High Schools. Those tracks have problems.
They're not
surfacing of the tracks. Certainly, it could be an issue. We'll let the schools decide whether they feel that it's unsafe to use.
And then the ADAs will work out where they're going to have the meets instead.
They have to move the meets.
Right. That's.
I know they moved them last year.
Yeah.
Well, I know Porter Ridge had to move some meets.
Okay.
We tried very hard to get repairs. That didn't work. We tried to replace the tracks. Getting bidders was very difficult. And then when we got the pricing, it just was way over budget.
Okay.
I'll jump down to, we have several projects that came up that aren't CIP projects, but we're having to do them. Wellington Middle School HVAC at $16,989 is HVAC related. Sun Valley Middle School HVAC, it's $29,000. We have an issue that came up at Popham Elementary School. We have we have a purchase order with Environmental Diversified Services in the amount of $50,060. This was not anticipated. We have a moisture issue that occurred at multiple locations at 2 of the 3 wings. What we have to do, it's replacing drywall, insulating some pipe, and that work should be complete at the end of this week. So that's coming along. Indian Trail HVAC bid, that had to be moved for trying to get better participation. Some change orders that we have at Weddington High School, change order for We're installing VCT, the moisture
Where is
content of the floor.
He's on his own.
Yeah, I'm on my own.
He's on his own.
Oh, okay.
So he said for Indian Trail HVAC, they had to go back out to get more participation on the bids. Rebid. So
Okay.
what's Weddington High?
So Weddington High School, we have a change order due to high moisture content of the concrete slab. And I remember where my notes are. I think it's $59,000. Yeah, $59,670. And this isn't an unusual item at Weddington Middle School. We had a change order proposal that was close to $70,000 for the same thing. Fortunately, it looks like we're going to be able to avoid that one.
Good.
And at switch over to bond projects. The Monroe High School, one thing I wanted to catch you up to date because we didn't talk about it last month. We did do a purchase order to contaminant control for asbestos abatement at Monroe High School. It's $20,100. That work's done. The demolition work is asbestos abatement work is completed at Piedmont High School. Porter Ridge Middle School, High School. We had, and there's one of our agenda items today that was pulled off. That project came in over budget. We've negotiated with the apparently bidder. We're trying to get that in budget. We had hoped to have all the pricing today, but that didn't happen. It's again bitter climate. It's hard to get all the subcontractors to give you, all the information that's needed. We didn't want to rush that and have too high of a price. So we're going to come back to you at the Facilities Committee meeting in August. Transportation Center survey and design work continues as we pursue connections, utility connections with city for water and sewer. The annex petition and conditional use application are almost ready to be submitted. So I mentioned that because we're getting to that point where it's going to be official. We're going to the city for water and sewer. We're going to the city for annexation, and we know that there's a lot of talk and has been talk in the past about possible county force main and lift station. So that time is running very, very short. If it were decided for whatever reason that the county was going to do that, we would have to stop. We would have to then change our design and meet the county requirements. So we would have a design effort again, and that would be additional cost on the design effort. But I mentioned that because we're very close to pulling the trigger on that one.
And anything that we did with the county would include pump and haul for a short period of time, but it would require them to commit to it being done in the next 18 months. Okay.
Western Union, there's pictures below of the Western Union job and another shot from the drone. We did have some change orders. We have a change order on that one. Actually, a couple. One was a change order for $0, and that was to extend the contract completion date 10 days. We had a change order for $46,000. This is coming from allowance. All these are coming from allowances. That was due to high moisture content in the concrete slab, again, related to VCT work. Change order in the amount of $1,038. And that had to do with the fans at toilet locations. Change order in the amount of $5,551. And that was for some structural requirements for that. We will have some other change orders coming up on that. Those are being worked through. We expect that we will soon exhaust the allowances at Western Union, but we will still have project funds that we're going to be able to utilize to cover those expenses.
How's the project going at Piedmont High School? I just happened to be there a couple of weeks ago and saw the project underway. And
Sure.
the abatement was certainly being taken care of. Are we on schedule? Like, what's the schedule looking like? Because I know that puts the school and administration down, 4 classrooms
Okay.
For the fall semester. What's the schedule look like, to have those classrooms back and ready to be used again, so we're not moving teachers and students around?
I believe by schedule, it was January for those classrooms
Okay.
to be complete
Second semester.
December.
and final.
Sometime with wax and get furniture in January, so by the second semester, they should be ready.
So I'll repeat that for folks who couldn't hear it. So the substantial completion date is December. Final completion would be January. It's scheduled so that we have time to get floor wax and all that kind of stuff in before they come back in January.
Okay, so just one semester.
Correct.
Just one semester.
Yeah, and that certainly whenever you go and if you see a school that's you visit it during the demolition phase or the asbestos abatement phase, which you're limited as to what you can see, it always looks awful.
It does. It
Yeah,
does.
so it can be
But I'm sure
traumatic.
that'll all be cleaned up and ready for open house. I think open houses, are you keeping in mind, making sure that it's safe for parents? Because it's going to be very, very high traffic at
That's right.
open house.
Yeah, so and that's always a big deal when the teachers are coming back, especially students coming back, open house, public events like that. We'll have as part of the owner architect contractor meeting that will be gone over. Contractor will be kind of laying out all the things that he has and areas that he expects to be cleaned up. If there's issues or problems that he can't deal with, then we try to react to that, and the school staff react to that, and try to do what we can do, to limit
I
any
think open
conflict.
house is like the 23rd, maybe.
It's around there. I don't-
As long as, so this is a great document. Do we have a construction timeline? So like if someone wanted to go see their school, do we have a construction timeline on the facilities website?
We do. We
Okay.
have it's a schedule, like a critical path type schedule that has all the projects on it and all their
And
durations.
the goal dates that you're trying to meet so they can see what the goal is.
Mhm.
Okay, thank you.
And on that note, Monroe High School's auditorium, same as Piedmont's auditorium. It's the demolition, work has been gone through. You walk through and it's just a big cavern. A lot of all the finishes have been removed and a very open space. And that's it for the construction update.
Thank you.
Sun Valley High School bond project.
Okay, we wanted to give really everyone and to include the public an update of where Sun Valley bond project is. We had intended to have a phase 1 scope, and that was supposed to be going on right now during the summer. We did receive bids. Bids were too high. High enough that we really had to change the project approach on that. We needed to look at modifications to the scope of work and materials, and also we need to plant the seed that this project is undoubtedly going to need additional funding. As far as the approach, we're combining phase 1 and phase 2 together. We think that that's going to help our better participation. More participation is going to lower our cost, with more competition. We do actually, the school got a little bit of a benefit out of that because they really wanted to be able to use their fields, and we were going to be taking all of their fields. So now it's not the best situation, but there is that one little benefit that is realized. Contractor, the CM at risk is going to begin pre-qualifying contractors as soon as possible. They'll be advertising for bids in August, receive bids in September, and then they'll be proposing their guaranteed maximum price to the Board of Education in October. We have had a great effort, I guess, in identifying possible savings, cost reductions, material changes, constructability reviews, and all that is trying to reduce the overall expected bid cost by several $1 million. Again, going back to we will be needing to add funding to this project. I don't know that amount yet. At the end of this week, we do expect to receive from the CM at Risk the latest cost estimate on the project, and we'll have a better handle on that. There's an attachment. By the way, Dan, if you can you put the rendering up? Okay, so we have the rendering from the architect. This is the front door. Admin is to the right. To the left with the large glass windows, that's dining. And to the far left is kitchen. The cars you see on the left, that is the drop-off area. And the vantage point is the student parking lot is right behind the camera, the lens. So we're happy to be able to have that image. We've provided that to the school, and they'll be using that image for some of their material. And we have another slide to come up, and that's the summary of where we are on value engineering items. This is in the handout. I won't go through
I have a couple
all
questions.
of this, but okay.
Change visitor and home bleacher specs, is that to drop it from a 4A school down, or what does that mean?
It's the number one item on that is that it's structural changes. You can do it. You can structurally set this project up, set those bleachers up so that you have storage space underneath, and the structure is not in the way. More like columns and beams. This is going to go to a different direction to where we'll have a lot of cross bracing, a lot of X framing. That will limit the ability to use those bleachers for storage space and access underneath it. It saves money. We would ideally, we wanted to have the storage space to begin with, but
Just underneath their existing bleachers is storage currently, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And we're getting rid of the maintenance building too, so that would.
It's a bit alternate,
and
yes, it's.
I know that the new principal of Sun Valley has not really an open house, a meeting with parents that want to come, I think August 7th, where he's going to talk about the project. So, and where we are with what's going to happen. I mean, I was disappointed to see some of the changes to this, especially the ball field renovations. Is it our intent that because we have to value engineer this project, that the CIPs in future years will include some of these projects?
That is the intent. We tried to.
Because we put them in for the other schools of similar age, are pieced into our CIP, so they would go in there as well.
Yeah. The goal with the reductions was trying to hit those items that could be added back pretty easily via future CIP. But I won't say that we were successful on that. I mean, there are some hard-hitting items, and we'll build the stadium and the bleachers. We won't be able to change how the structure is on those bleachers. It will be what it is, and we'll be stuck with that.
I want to go back to the bleachers. So is this proposal still keeping that stadium at 4A? Is there a cost savings of going to 3A?
There would be a cost savings in 3A. We have talked about that. This particular pricing is keeping the seating capacity as it was.
You mean 4A?
At 4A.
4A, yeah. We could save a little bit.
Even though the school may never be a 4A program, or?
Yeah, and that's certainly, if the committee says, let's go 3A, we will go back to the team and say, let's make this a 3A stadium.
It's such a hard thing because it's the 4A is based upon the top whatever percent of schools. So it's not a specific number of enrollment.
It's a
So
moving
it's
target.
thank you. It's a moving target. So it currently what we have in what we think that Sun Valley will look like over the next 5 years, 10 years, doesn't seem that they will be, but it's too hard to know. If public schools enrollment is dropping across the state, then it could be the same. It could be a 4A school, but I agree with you. I don't know. Or do you not build it to that, and then in 10 years, Indian Trail's going crazy, and the school should have been?
The reason I ask is because, I mean, and this is just my opinion, I would rather have an appropriately sized bleachers and do the baseball and softball field. So I'm just, I'm trying to figure out, will they ever need for a 4A stadium? And can we get the baseball and softball fields done?
Right, so keep in mind, and you make a good point, Ms. Hindale, I think it's every 3 years the state recalculates the classifications for high schools. And so, part of what drives that for us and everybody else is existing capacity. And what happens is as new high schools are being built, many times they are greater capacity. They take up that larger portion of that grouping. And so I've only, in my career, I've only been involved in 2 situations where schools changed their classification, and both times they were due to the enrollment that dropped down so low. So I don't know that you'll see a lot of movement there, but it will be driven by the capacity of the
Because
school.
they're only 3A now.
That's
They
right.
haven't moved
And
up
so
yet.
I think,
So that would affect bleachers, bathrooms?
Well, if we went that far to change those, and mind you, it is easier to add sections of bleachers. It's as far as expanding these restroom buildings and things like that, that might be a little challenging, but can be done.
I think it's something we need to continue
Okay,
once
so
we see.
I think that's a good idea. We can look at that, and then if there are other places where we can add back, for example, the baseball fields, doing some additional work there, we can certainly look at that. I think it would be a good idea to leave everything as it is in terms of the infrastructure, facilities and stuff. They're already designed for the bathrooms and stuff, and I think we should probably leave those.
Okay. I'm trying to think. And then, on phase 2 on the next page, unless somebody had questions before then, I see that there's stuff that's alternate bids, and I get all that. I think a renovation of an auditorium would include auditorium seat, so I'm not real happy to see that, given that other, we're doing other Monroe and Piedmont's auditorium, and they're getting it all. And I get it, it's all about money, and at the end of the day, we're gonna have to piece it all together. But those were my big things.
And again, that was another item where we felt like it would be clean for us to come back if we could.
If we could in the CIP.
So do the infrastructure piece and get the bones good, and then come back with those.
So a lot of this is just to get the bones in and then deal with it on CIPs. Okay.
And specific to the seats, we've checked, we aren't really hearing that there's any sentimental value. Some people like the look of existing wood, the older wood seats. That was a concern, are we going to have any backlash? We're not hearing any backlash on that. We've asked the school, they're not aware, that there's any kind of sentimental value.
But you're right, there's something we can deal with.
Capacity as well.
Capacity,
That's right.
yeah,
So that's
because it
another
makes it
thing, because
small.
we would not have
Right.
the same capacity if we swapped out. the
Makes
seat.
it smaller. Well, we're gonna lose capacity anyways, because there's no handicap access right now okay.
Yeah, what we would have to do is widen the aisles, and we would lose, some seats for where the wheelchairs would be sitting. But I think we were also adding some seats, another row closer to the stage.
Okay. Reduce scope back to first page, sorry. Reduce scope at existing parking lot. Was that just cosmetic changes, or what are we reducing? I guess I look at that as kind of a permanent thing. That's what I'm saying. It's a
Right.
cosmetic island.
Well, it is islands, and
And
there's
you
two.
probably don't call them cosmetic, but
Well, some of it is zoning requirements, so we would cut back to the minimum zoning requirements. And that would, and trees and curb and gutter and paving. It was going to change the parking lot. We'll just be doing more with striping than we would with physical barriers. It's gonna look, very similar to the way it looks now.
right. Considering that, I think that high school parking spaces are going to be at a premium given grandfathering. I mean, it's going to be interesting in a couple weeks. Those were all my questions.
I have none.
Okay, that takes care of everything on the open agenda. So I need a motion to go into closed session pursuant to NCGS 143.318.10 and 11 to review minutes from prior closed session meetings, and NCGS 143-131 for the consideration of bids.
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor? Aye.